up, you guys? Welcome to the June 2nd edition of NBA 3-Ball, presented by Established to Run. I'm your host, Mike Gallagher, getting ready to preview the 4-game slate on Wednesday. Gonna hop right into it with some preview basketball action and the news from the day, which is Joel Embiid is doubtful to play. Still waiting on more details on a timeline. Looking good if you're into the whole social media stuff that we've been seeing, so hopefully it's just a day-to-day thing, but we'll wait on that. But just for now, for Game 5, obviously Tobias Harris is the guy that steps up the most here. Per 36, he's a stud with Ben, without Embiid. He's at 24-7-4 compared to 19-7-4 with all three. So significant scoring boost there. We know he's going to be really active, very up-tempo game. We'll have Rui Hachimura on him a bunch, which isn't great, but I mean, he just lit up Rui in that first game when we saw Embiid kind of bow out. So certainly think Tobias Harris is going to be chalk, should be for good reason. Ben Simmons doesn't really step up stat-wise without Embiid. 16-9-8 per 36 without him compared to 15-8-8. That's with Tobias on both those samples too. So yeah, him benefit. We obviously know the hack of Ben stuff could be in play. Scott Brooks said he wanted to do it earlier, both in the game and in the series, and they couldn't quite execute it the way they wanted to do it. So certainly in play. Probably not as advantageous, given that Joel Embiid being out there just makes their offense better. So without Ben, you're risking not as much to do that hack of Ben stuff. With the offense just overall not being as good, hurting yourself in transition to the other side. Talk about that in a second too. And then other guys, Seth Curry, a little bit more ball handling probably coming his way. Danny Green really benefits from that Embiid double team stuff with the kickouts. I think he kind of takes, kind of a neutral spot. He gets the usage boost, but overall tougher shots probably coming his way. And then Furkan Korkmaz was kind of the guy that stepped up as the fill-in for Embiid. Saw a lot of the late run to space the floor. We know that Doc is okay going without Tobias and Ben front court. Ben's got enough size to guard anybody. The Wizards have enough things to do that they want to get to make him go small. So Korkmaz should benefit. Dwight Howard should be all right. Not really into Mike Scott. He might start. I don't think they may not start him again. They may want to get Dwight with the way that the Wizards are going to really attack the paint. You obviously don't need the floor spacing quite as much for this defense, especially with the up-tempo. And then matching him with Robin Lopez does make some sense too. But regardless, you're not playing Mike Scott. Tyrese Maxey also playing great. Has really cut into Shake Milton. We'll see if Doc kind of ups him. He's gotten talked up a lot. Wizards side of this, a lot of interesting stuff here too. We've got Davis Bertans. He is out with that calf issue. Had it earlier this season. Basically out for the playoffs, assuming the Wizards don't make a run. But yeah, Rui Hachimura is the guy that benefits most here. The Wizards are really missing their only catch-and-shoot guy left. They had some Denny Avdija. He's also out. After the game, Scott Brooks really talked up Hachimura's catch-and-shoot game. Says he wants him shooting those shots. Says he likes his form. So definitely think Rui Hachimura coming off that 42-minute game, despite being roasted by Tobias Harris early in the season, he's going to have to play a lot. I expect a lot on his plate today while the other guys kind of step up. And the other guy who benefits most is Russell Westbrook. His splits with Embiid and without Embiid are kind of silly here. He's only shot 27% from the field with Embiid on the court for a 13-point per 36 line with 14 assists. Very nice. But without Embiid, that increases to 22 points per 36 with 16 boards and 10 dimes. Yes, 62-minute sample, but I mean, talk about a guy that needs to attack the rim to thrive. I mean, Russell Westbrook looked healthier. Definitely think he's in a good spot. Bradley Beal has actually been kind of reversed. He's really thrived when Embiid is off, but tiny sample, 16 minutes here during the regular season. Scored 56 points per 36 if you're into that. But definitely think Beal, who's been driving a ton, definitely benefits. So I think the Wizards could generate some offense here to make this a fairly close game. Embiid's really, really valuable. And then the other guy who's a big, big, big winner is Daniel Gafford. We saw him third quarter, started out, 10-minute stint. Awesome, awesome, awesome. No Embiid really unlocks his upside, really raises his floor. We saw him get into foul trouble here, so expect him to be really, really good. Ish Smith, Howell Neto, if the Sixers do go smaller with more of that cork stuff, could see those guys benefit. Howell Neto probably going to start. Probably see a lot of tough defensive assignments as well, but those guys certainly have some pass here. But man, Gafford, I think could just be a huge difference maker if the Wizards can pull this out. Second early game, great one here as the Hawks look to close out the Knicks in MSG, and some interesting comments from the coaches. Nate McMillan says he's up for cutting down his rotation, interestingly, tied to DeAndre Hunter based on how I'm reading the situation. And we saw Bogdan get all the minutes, man. Played all second, all third, 21st half minutes. and they switched their coverages. We saw Derrick Rose guard Bogdan. So I think Bogdan could be a really big part of the game plan today to generate offense if they are going to really try to stop Trae Young offensively. So we saw John Collins have a good game. They're leaving him open, so I could see more of that. But yeah, Trae's just been so good. They limited his drives. Again, mentioned Reggie Bullock guarding him more. So I think Bogdan could be in a pretty good spot here, while the rest of their guys kind of fill in. You really can't touch their bench besides Gallo, which is a little risky. We've seen that Collins, Gallo front court do well in certain spots, while Capella just cleans up on the glass here. But Hawks definitely have a pretty nice edge going into this game. Yeah, Knicks side, Julius Randle, shooting 43% at the rim. That's horrendous. 12 of 50 on jumpers, really bad. And specifically, when he has the ball for more than 2 seconds in his hands, he has a 30.9 effective field goal percentage, 39 more than 6. Still really bad. But man, to take 55 shots and to have that efficiency is really bad. Tom Thibodeau talked about how he has to make quick decisions because by the time he makes a decision, the defense has already shifted to get him a tough spot. So that has to change. I don't know if it can. So Derrick Rose has been great in minutes with Randle while he wasn't really great during the season. So Derrick Rose is going to play a lot. They switched him off Trae because they want to get more offense out of him. So he has to be really busy in this game if they're going to win it. I think Rose is in a pretty good spot here with the way that they've been defending Randle so aggressively. RJ Barrett continues to be an off-ball guy. He has to play better if this Knicks team could change up their offense. It hasn't been there. So we've seen Reggie Bullock, kind of get cut down a little bit just opportunity-wise, missed shots, but sounds like Tibbs really trusts him. Perhaps the interesting part was he said that, quote, everything's on the table with Nerlens Noel's minutes, a little bit hobbled. We saw the Obi Toppin minutes come up big late. Garbage time was affected there, but did play the full fourth. Saw him out there with Julius Randle at times for that 4-5 combo, which we saw earlier in the season. So Obi Toppin kind of on the board, especially given those comments from Tibbs. So keep an eye on that. And Alec Burks, maybe dark horse candidate to start if they want to train more defensive positions. You don't have to worry about him defensively if he's on Bullock. It's hard to get him switching to that on-ball stuff with the way they're using Bullock. So interesting stuff. I don't really feel great about the Knicks. I hope the Garden crowd can help them get a win here, though. Jazz could close out the Grizzlies here. Have a pretty good chance to do so at home, but start with the Grizzlies. Big news was the 9-man rotation. My God, stop the frickin' presses. I can't believe it. Taylor Jenkins cuts down to 9. Brandon Clark goes away, and they run that heavy guard rotation. So D'Anthony Melton was really the star of the show late with the 15 points. Played the final 14 minutes. Grayson Allen wasn't affected. Played 15 of the last 18. Turns out it was Kyle Anderson and Jaren Jackson Jr. who were affected with the way that rotation shook out. Taylor Jenkins is going with his flow of the game strategy. Has really done it for most of this series. So a little bit of risk in the situation, but I think Grayson Allen has really solidified his spot in the mix. And then Jaren Jackson, space of the floor. Just kind of a rough fit with the way the Jazz kind of run their offense. So three-dependent. For him who wants to protect the rim, just kind of makes it tough on you defensively. And then also it's pretty noteworthy that Morant and Valanciunas have a minus 6.6 net rating with Jackson Jr. in this series compared to plus 6.5. So basically polar opposites with the 6.5s. It just makes sense for the way that the Utah is trying to attack them. So tough to count on Jaren Jackson. I think Grayson's in a pretty good spot. Certainly could see another big Melton game. And my God, John Morant played the full second half. He basically is a lock for like 44 minutes to me unless he gets in foul trouble or an injury or something. 13 shots in his 25 drives per game in this series. Tons of pick and roll stuff. Lots of ball handling. Just massive ceiling for him today. Don't really have much to say on Utah except for Donovan Mitchell. Spiking usage rate, 38.6. Second among players with more than 10 minutes to Luka. Aggressive, 18 drives in the last game. Getting whistles, 12 in the last 2 per game, that is. Touch time looking like it was last in the playoffs. 11 potential assists. He's kind of back to being the alpha here. Definitely feel good about him. We saw Mike Conley's usage rate take a big hit. Boyan also hurt his wrist. Should be okay, but keep an eye on that. He's had a lot of wrist issues as well. Late game, Mavs, Clippers 2-2. Clippers looking to take command after they win both in Dallas. But yeah, the headline here is Luka Doncic has a neck nerve issue. Rick Carlisle said he can't turn left that well. So Derek Zoolander season for him. They're going to defend him really well, and it affected him on the stat sheet. He did not drive it as well as he usually does. His passing didn't look as crisp. He's in trouble. This is not good. Kawhi Leonard also defended him more. He's done pretty well via the matchup data, 5 of 15 when Kawhi's guarded him, so that's not great. Looking really rough overall for this Mavericks team. Kristaps Porzingis' defense has been a disaster. We saw Boban get some minutes, and I think you got to play Boban again. with the way these things are shaking out. You can't stop him. Might as well play Boban. Plus 4.1 net rating in the 15 minutes they used him. So, yeah, I think it makes sense to put him out there again. So it could be some Boban in your life for DFS. Clipper side of this, I mean, yeah, just go small. The Mavs are not getting to the rim. They're at the lowest at-rim percentage in the NBA, playoffs-wise. It's just going to keep going small. So certainly think Marcus Morris and Nick Batum continue to play a bunch. Reggie Jackson has been actually pretty good in the season, and when he plays next to PG and Kawhi, hasn't been great, but there's an opportunity for him if maybe Kawhi or Paul George don't have it going. But they're probably both going to have it going. Both guys are just ridiculous on driving. Paul George shooting it like every time he's driving, not every time, but a lot more than Kawhi is. Kawhi is the number 3 guy on efficiency off drives, among the high-volume guys behind KD and Harden, who are just otherworldly right now. So the Clippers are suddenly in the driver's seat here. I think those starters are just going to play a bunch here with the way things are shaking out, with a little bit of Rondo mixing, who's been great. But DFS-wise, shouldn't get up there too much in playing time because Reggie has played really well with this lineup. So that's it. Catch you next time.